What happens when a raid meant to uncover corruption leads to uncovering the truth about those meant to protect us? This is the story of Officer Robert Morgan and his team, who are called to raid a house on Sycamore Street after receiving a tip about a stash of illegal contraband. But when they break in, they find themselves in a shocking twist. The man in the house is none other than William Preston, the new chief of police. Confused and embarrassed, Officer Morgan learns that the raid was based on a false tip, and Preston is being set up by someone within the precinct. As the team investigates, they uncover a web of corruption involving Monarch Security, a private firm with ties to the police force. With evidence in hand, Chief Preston exposes the conspiracy, and the officers who tried to manipulate the force are brought down, proving that justice always prevails. For weeks, whispers spread that a large stash of illegal contraband was hidden in one of the most upscale neighborhoods in Millwood, specifically on Sycamore Street. The tip-off was clear. Someone was hiding something big. Officer Robert Morgan and his team were briefed and ready for action, convinced they had solid intel. They geared up, checking their equipment and preparing for what they believed would be a high-stakes raid. The target? 453 Sycamore Street, a luxurious house tucked away in an elegant neighborhood. As they approached the property, the silence of the night was unsettling. It didn't look like the usual setting for a major operation, but the officers couldn't afford to let their guard down. With flashlights in hand, they moved in, knowing only one thing: their mission was clear. They were here to find the contraband. As the officers stormed through the house, tearing through the rooms in search of contraband, a calm figure appeared at the top of the stairs. Dressed in simple pajamas and unbothered by the chaos unfolding below, he stood still, watching the officers with a mixture of confusion and curiosity. His name? William Preston, the new chief of police. Robert Morgan and his team, still focused on their mission, continued searching the house. They overturned furniture, rifled through drawers, and checked every corner of the elegant home. But despite their thorough efforts, they found nothing. No contraband, no evidence of criminal activity. The house remained as pristine as it had before the raid, leaving the team frustrated and confused. Finally, the man at the top of the stairs spoke. "What are you looking for?" he asked calmly, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. As the officers turned their attention to him, he added, "This is my house." Robert, still processing the situation, ordered his team to continue searching while they dealt with the man. But then, in a quiet and almost detached tone, Preston dropped the bombshell. "I'm William Preston, the new chief of police." The words hit like a punch to the gut. Robert froze, his mind racing. The realization came crashing down. This wasn't some criminal mastermind they had raided. This was their new boss. Stunned and embarrassed, Robert pulled out his radio, still trying to make sense of the situation. He hesitated for a moment before calling headquarters, his voice trembling as he spoke into the mic. "Headquarters, we need verification on the identity of one William Preston, current resident of 453 Sycamore Street." The seconds felt like hours as the radio crackled to life. The confirmation came back. "That's correct, Officer Morgan. William Preston is the newly appointed chief of police. He was scheduled to be introduced tomorrow morning." Robert's face drained of color. He glanced over at Preston, who remained calm and composed, and suddenly, everything felt wrong. Their target wasn't a criminal. They had just raided the home of their new boss. The weight of the mistake settled heavily in the air, and Robert couldn't shake the feeling of complete and utter humiliation. The next morning, the precinct buzzed with tension as word of the raid spread like wildfire. Officers whispered among themselves, unsure of what would happen next. When Chief Preston walked into the building, his presence immediately commanded respect. The atmosphere shifted. What had been a room full of uncertainty now felt like a place of order and authority. Instead of reprimanding the officers, Preston calmly addressed the entire precinct. Standing before them, he made it clear that the raid had been based on false information. But he didn't stop there. With a steady voice, he exposed the chilling truth. Someone within the precinct had orchestrated the entire setup in an attempt to discredit him before he even took office. His message was simple: integrity must be our foundation. The officers, still processing the shock, knew they were about to embark on a much bigger investigation, one that would uncover corruption deep within their ranks. Chief Preston, along with officers Robert and Lucy, dug deeper into the origin of the false tip. Their investigation led them to an unexpected lead. The signal for the tip had pinged from near Westwood Apartments, a location linked to Monarch Security, a private security firm with questionable ties to law enforcement. Preston's suspicions grew. He believed Monarch Security wasn't just operating in the shadows. They were embedded within the precinct itself. Their motive? To discredit him before he could even take office. Monarch, known for its aggressive push for city contracts, saw Preston as a threat to their influence. They needed him out of the picture, and it seemed they had used every tool at their disposal, including setting up a high-stakes raid to try and bring him down. The pieces were falling into place, and Preston knew they were about to face a much larger battle, one that would expose corruption at the highest levels. After a tense investigation, Officer Lucy uncovered a crucial lead: payments made to a private investigator hired by Monarch Security. This evidence confirmed what Preston had suspected. Monarch had orchestrated the setup, using the investigator to fabricate dirt and discredit him before he even took office. With the evidence in hand, Chief Preston knew it was time to confront the truth. He quickly organized a press conference to expose Monarch Security's role in the conspiracy. Standing before a sea of reporters, Preston revealed how the firm had tried to manipulate the precinct to further their own agenda, using false tips and corrupt tactics to get rid of him. His message was clear: the police force would not be controlled by outside interests. The truth was out, and Preston was ready to take action. The press conference was just the beginning of dismantling Monarch's influence over the city, and the fight for justice had only just begun. Preston's press conference sent shockwaves through the city. Monarch Security's reputation was shattered in an instant, and federal agents quickly raided their offices, uncovering widespread corruption. The firm's executives faced charges, and their grip on the city began to unravel. With Monarch's influence dismantled, the precinct slowly began to recover. Officers who had been under their sway were dismissed, and a sense of justice started to return to the force. Chief Preston, with his unwavering commitment to integrity, emerged as a beacon of leadership. The officers who stood by him, like Robert and Lucy, knew they had been part of something bigger than a simple raid. They had exposed a dangerous conspiracy and helped restore honor to their precinct. Chief Preston had proven that integrity would always prevail, and the city could now look to the future with renewed trust in its police force. Officer Robert Morgan had unknowingly been used as a pawn in a dangerous game, but under Chief Preston's leadership, he learned invaluable lessons about loyalty, integrity, and the dangers of blindly following orders. Through the intense investigation and the fight for justice, Robert realized that standing up for what's right was far more important than following orders without question. In the end, Chief Preston's actions not only saved the precinct, but also proved that integrity and justice would always triumph in the fight against corruption. His leadership turned a moment of humiliation into an opportunity for growth, and the precinct emerged stronger than ever. As Preston had shown, no matter how powerful the forces of corruption may seem, the truth will always come to light, and justice will always prevail. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating stories. Your support helps us bring you even more gripping tales of justice, integrity, and the truth coming to light. Stay tuned for more exciting content coming soon. And remember, justice always finds its way, no matter how dark the road may seem. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.